Welcome to the Unfiltered Truth. I am one half of it, Phil Robinson, the third here, waiting on my partner Phil Jones to show up. We got something special for you guys today. We are recapping the Raiders' 24-19 loss against the Chargers. We're going to break that down, get into what we saw, get into some things that were causes for concern and all the above, talk about some things they did right. And we are also going to be joined by the weekly conversation with Raiders digital reporter, the Swole reporter, Levi Edwards. All that and more coming to you live. But without further ado, let's get it cracking. Unfiltered Truth presented by Sideline Sports Network. Let me not forget the hosting site. What's up, everybody? How's everybody feeling? I see the guys the usual starting to form in the chat. Good to see all of you. We got a tough loss, but it was only 5 points. It's hard to believe that you're going to get any worse quarterback play than you did against the Chargers. And we were still within 5 points. I was really, really pleased to see the fight in this team, to see the coaching acumen of it. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Phil Jones. Mr. Jones, fashionably late as always. Good to see you, brother. But so far, I was talking about we had just got into it, talking about this, breaking down this game here, and saying that before we start getting into the ugly, like Mr. Took Your Soul said, the Raiders never folded. They kept fighting. They got back in there. They got back into it. Clawed and scratched, did what they needed to do down the stretch. Unfortunately, they came up short. You can't win them all. This was the first week of the season. Definitely an opportunity to set the tone. I feel as though the teams were very, very evenly matched. And there's a lot of people right off the bat that had this all wrong. I've seen a little bit of everything. Blaming the line, blaming Devontae Adams, blaming the defense, blaming I've seen what was one of my favorite ones. That was a real Gruden coaching decision. I have seen and heard a lot of stuff, and I've been trying to stay off Twitter just to try to cleanse my spirit, my soul of all that negativity and that vitriol and venom.
No, I ain't having this shit right here. Kenneth, nah. No, Ken. Nah.
It's not what happened.
We gonna really jump and just say he got his ass whooped off that.
And I seen you get folded up by Pete.
No, we not going that route. We're not going that route.
Charm City was good. Two Title Tone. Al. Malcolm.
What's up,
Buddha for life. And the fabulous Dundee.
Dundee down under.
But let's get it. Or we got about 5 more minutes before we get into brass tacks and really dive into this thing. What is before we get to the rest of it? What was your good takeaways from this game?
I mean, should I be like Josh Dubow and give you the stats on the goods?
Please.
Yes,
On the
they were
positive.
goods. They were actually goods, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at it, and it's funny, everybody says the defense. And if you're getting 57% of the pass rush win rate, you're ranked fourth now in the NFL. And a 35% run stop win rate, which you're ninth. And then I also posted, that's for defense. Now let's get to the offense.
Is that top 10? Did I hear that right?
I mean, yeah. And
Top
overall,
5,
yards
top
allowed, they're within the top 15.
So yeah, and for all of the hoopla about Justin Herbert and how he torched him up, on 34 attempts, he only had 279 yards. Now, there's 3 touchdowns that went with it and 129.4 passer rating, but he was doing his thing. Whereas you look at the run game, and this is where this as a total, 31 carries for the Chargers for 76 yards, 2.5 yards average, no touchdowns, with the longest run of 12 yards. That's called getting it done. And we'd like to say that the defense didn't force any turnovers, but the reality of the situation is Nate Hobbs did pop that ball free.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he sent it squirting out of bounds. So it's not as though there wasn't an opportunity created, it just wasn't converted. And speaking of Nate Hobbs, I told you, did I tell you? I told you Nate Hobbs was gonna go out there and be a bad boy, and he just gave you just a tip. I see much more to come from Nate Hobbs. When somebody's gonna fool around and try him, and he's gonna end up taking one of them passes to the house. And as much as I'd hate to bring up the dreaded PFF, didn't they have him as the top grade, one of the top grades at all corners this week?
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Where the tape at, blood? Where the tape at? I still don't have it. Tape I saw must have been the one.
I like look, and before he even comes on there, I'm like, look, I'm gonna just say this right now.
It was good.
Bruh, we ain't blaming Devontae Adams, we ain't blaming Hunter Renfrow, and we're damn sure not blaming Darren Waller.
Hey, bruh, that man has got go gadget arms. All he had to do was just stick that left arm out there, reach back about 6 feet, make sure he cupped the ball squarely in his hands, pause, and bring it in.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Said no matter the fact that he turned around to spin like a ballerina and fell trying to reach for it, that's beside the point. You got to adjust to the football.
And it's funny. You can't blame the defense. You can't blame your wide
They gave up 24, Phil. They gave up 24.
How much they give up in the second half?
They gave up 3, didn't they?
They gave up 7 because of that one turnover.
Yeah. Yeah, that in the third quarter. That's right. But we've seen this before.
A lot.
We saw the defense pitch virtually a shutout the entire second half for the last 4 or 5 games of the year last year, and started off this year doing the same thing with one score. And I found it funny that the Chargers OC tried to, oh well, we didn't really call aggressive plays that well. Like, the game was close. I don't buy that at all. I just buy the fact that your run game was shut down. Keenan Allen got hurt early. Mike Williams got taken out of the game almost
2 catches for 10 yards from Mike Williams? Did the Chargers get 100 yards? They didn't even crack 100 yards.
For who?
None.
Running the football, they only got 76. And no, Keenan Allen was 4 catches for 66 yards. He was well on his way. He was matching Devontae catch for catch. DeAndre Carter finished with 3 catches for 64 yards, and I want to say he got most of his early. And then Mike Williams, 2 for 10. Austin Eckler, 4 for 36. Gerald Everett, 54 yards on 3 catches. Yeah, nobody did anything remarkable except for being in the right place at the right time and catch touchdown passes. Said the Chargers were taking deep shots all game and missing.
That they were.
That's the sign of a good pass defense. And a lot of it was Herbert throwing under duress. He was on the move in the second half. He was on the move quite a bit. Him and Max were getting closer and cozying up. I just wish that Max had got there a little bit sooner so that he could sack him or slap the ball out of his hands, and we could be looking at a different story.
Yeah, I give you one key before we jump to our guest. Stop playing high.
Pads down. I know you're 6'5", but you got to get low. It's called leverage.
He gets low. He wins that battle every day.
Yes, he does, and twice on Sunday. We'll get to Chandler Jones, but without further ado, the man that looks like Khalil Mack only because of the size of his biceps, Mr. Levi Edwards.
That's a pretty solid introduction. How you doing, Phil? How you doing,
man?
Phil?
You got to show off the guns after that.
What's up, Mac Jr.?
We're doing all right.
So let's jump into it. Sunday. What are your thoughts on Sunday, sir?
To give a good general overview of everything, was not the greatest game by the Raiders at all. They could have been smarter, could have did some things a little bit more at ease. But when it really comes down to it, even though there's no moral victories, I am very encouraged by the fact that despite everything that the Chargers threw at the Raiders, despite all of the ineffective play from the Raiders throughout the duration of the game, you get down to 2.5 minutes with the Raiders driving down the field to potentially win that game. And so you look at how they played against a really good team, I must say, and the fact that they played as poorly at times as they did, but still hung in there to have a chance to win, is very encouraging for the rest of the season, in my eyes.
I get it, and before getting to the negative, because as you said, there's enough blame to go around, but the Chargers are supposed to be the best roster in the league, and pretty much everything offensively that could have went wrong did, and they were still in that game. They weren't outclassed, they weren't outmatched, and that was definitely encouraging to see. I see some guys in the chats, no moral victories, and that's absolutely correct. It's winning. It's winning is the only thing. Lombardi said it best.
Yes, sir.
But all in all, the defense was it was rough early. It was rough. but they got it together and they made a showing out of it. So there were some guys that went down. You talk about what you can, but what was your thoughts on the defensive performance?
I can't. Well, start with the defense performance. Once again, people can nitpick about certain things to do with the Raiders defense and what they could have done better and what they did do well. I have to emphasize that the Chargers legitimately have a really good offense. Herbert's a really good quarterback. Mike Williams is a really good receiver. Eckler is a really good running back. They have some good pieces on their offensive line with Rashawn Slater and Lindsey and Zion Johnson, who I had beat writers for LA tell me in the press box he had some rookie moments during training camp. I didn't really see him having too many rookie moments on Sunday, I have to say. So it's a good team. So the fact that they had their moments where the Chargers got the best of them in the first half, but to come out, Patrick Graham made the adjustments that he needed to make, and they held them to 7 points. And so I was really encouraged by that. I loved, of course, what I saw from Nate Hobbs. And, you guys have probably already been talking about Nate Hobbs even before I joined the chat. So that's my guy. I love the way that he played, and he held his own against a really good receiver in Mike Williams.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I've been trying to explain to my audience that Nate Hobbs is about to be that dude.
I've been trying to explain to people for months now that Nate Hobbs is about to be that guy. Everything that I've seen from him this training camp, this OTAs, everything about him, I knew that he had the potential to take this leap. So I've been trying to tell people for a while now, and I don't know if they were listening. I don't know if they weren't, but I hope people are starting to wake up now.
It'll happen. He'll wake him up, but the move from inside to outside was one that was really curious about whether it was going to work or not, and only because we haven't seen it so much. I think Dubois had brought it up in a tweet, said he played 21 snaps out wide and had only played 26 snaps out wide all season last year.
Yeah. So, I mean, Nate played outside corner at Illinois.
Right.
And so he has experience in it. Of course, he flourished at nickel, especially with his physical play. That's where he is a good fit. However, he has experience playing outside corner, so it's not unfamiliar to him. It's just now in a place where the more you can do, and that's what I've been saying for a couple of days now, is in this defense with Patrick Graham, it's a case of the more you can do. And you saw Nate Hobbs line up a little bit everywhere. He kind of was he lined up a little bit at safety. He was kind of a linebacker. He kind of cheat up and was next to Perryman on a couple of plays for the TFLs. He did a lot. Outside corner, nickel. He was all over the place, and it's not something that I was surprised by, because all training camp you had guys like Patrick Graham and Jason Simmons that said Nate Hobbs is a football player. They wouldn't mention like what position he was going to be in or what he was going to be doing. They said Nate Hobbs is a football player. And even Nate Hobbs was asked countless times, like, yo, so where are you going to line up at? What are you going to do? And he said, every time, I'm going to play wherever they tell me to play. And that seemed pretty obvious on Sunday.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. You got something to add on Nate Hobbs, Jones?
Hey, I'm going to just keep saying what I've been saying about Nate Hobbs. He's the real deal. This guy was what? Before the little hiccups that he had at Illinois, he probably would have been a higher draft pick if that didn't happen. I've been watching him since he's been in the Big Ten. So seeing what he was doing in this game at Illinois and now showing in the NFL, did it year one, now year two. Sooner or later, Nate Hobbs is going to be a top 10 corner. And everybody's going to be looking like, damn. The Raiders got something real special for long term.
And even today, during Patrick Graham's press conference, he said that Nate Hobbs was a guy that he was looking at even when he was with the New York Giants. So he was not unfamiliar with Nate Hobbs when he came to the Raiders. He was a guy that he had sought out very much so, even when he was trying to figure out his situation last year. And so he just said that he's really proud of Nate because he was a guy that he wanted and a guy that he, was thinking about drafting when he was in New York, but he would have never thought even this early in his career that he would be as good as he is now. So he was just stating how proud he is of Nate. And I think that's pretty cool to hear just because, the NFL is such a game of parity. And so it's kind of like, you have guys that you're a fan of on the outside and then you come over and you get to coach them now. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's definitely cool. So you had mentioned the press conference. So let's start to get into the other side of the ball, and let's talk about this offensive line. Now, what I saw a lot of shifting in the offensive line. We'll call it rotating, and so I was curious. Was it out of necessity or was it just upper level coaching and moving guys in for certain situations that happen to benefit those particular situations at that time?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it's a pretty 50-50 down the line split. There was a lot of competition on the offensive line this training camp, and it was, it's been well documented by me and a lot of beat writers. So there was a lot of guys that were fighting for positioning. And just because we're in the regular season now and training camp is over doesn't mean the competition is over. There's still guys like Dylan Parham and Munford, Luminor that are still fighting to keep their jobs and, be the staple of the offensive line. So I believe that, yes, it was out of necessity because they wanted to continue to move things around to see what was the best fits across the board. But at the same time, you have a lot of guys who have different strengths. You have guys like John Simpson who are a lot better in the power run. That's where he flourishes. He's a very good run blocker. You have guys like Illuminor who are really good in pass protection. So it's just kind of, you have to figure out your good mix of people for different personnel packages and go from there. So I definitely think it was a little bit of both. And it's not anything, new. Even last year when there was a different regime, they switched around their offensive line at times to best fit the defensive fronts that they were going up against in different packages. And there's a lot of other NFL teams that do the same thing. Yeah. So people are alarmed because there were 7 offensive linemen that played. But I mean, I challenge someone to go and look up the stat sheets of every other NFL team that played this past weekend and see how many of them had 7 offensive linemen or more play. It is what it is.
And come to think about it, Patriots did that back in 2020 against the Chargers.
Exactly.
So it's nothing big, it's nothing new, it's nothing to panic about. It's just people are now starting to pay attention because it's being said. Like you said, it's been going on for years, matter of fact.
I think what took not people aback, but I think what it caught people's eye is that the changes happened in the second half. So it's like it wasn't as consistent as like what some people thought it would be. It was kind of like it was sprinkled in through the middle of the game and through like different points of the game. Kind of when you open up the second half and you have Thayer Munford in and you have Parham kind of sprinkled in the second and third quarter of the game. So I think just the timing of how things were is what caught people by attention. But once again, like you said, it's very common amongst the NFL. Hell, it's common in high school football.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that's real. No, that's cool. What'd you think of the running game? I saw Brandon Bolden do score on it looked like it wasn't quite a wheel route. It was the out and up. Josh got it going later. Or was there? Well, I guess you wouldn't be privy to that. What did you think overall? What they were doing early versus what ended up being more successful later?
Well, I am going to go off of what Josh said Monday after the game, and I honestly totally agree. He tried to get the run going a little bit more down the length of the game, but
Okay.
it got to a point where they were just down by such a not a big score, but they were down and they had to get back up. So they had to just kind of continue to go with the passing game, and they couldn't get the run as much going as they wanted to. I believe Josh Jacobs looked really good. And of course, when you have a fresh Josh Jacobs, he's going to do his best. I believe he had 5.6 yards per carry on his 10 carries, 6.6 yards per touch. So I believe that Josh Jacobs really had an effective game, and he's a guy that I hope that they'll use more. Brandon Bolden with the 18-yard touchdown on the in and out, like you just said, that was a really good play, and it really kind of awoken that Raiders offense in that team, because they really needed that score at that point of the game to open it up, because things looked like it was about to go south after how they played in the first half. So it was an extremely crucial touchdown scored by Brandon Bolden. So I believe the run game was pretty good in the limited amount of snaps that they did have. Hopefully, going into this Sunday, they can get the run game going a little bit earlier, and that way it can establish, all of the big high fly passes to Devontae and Darren and Renfro again.
Right, right. So to keep it going with what had been said, I got a chance to watch a McDaniel's press conference. What did Mick have to say about the offensive gameplay and the game plan today, or did he touch on that at all?
Like the game plan from the Chargers, or the game plan going against the Cardinals?
Against the Chargers.
He just said how much he enjoyed the competitive spirit in the fight to get back into the game. Uh, of course, he just kind of touched on a couple of things that he believes that they need to work on.
Yeah.
He defended Derek in regards to how many times he went after Devontae, and I will also defend Derek in the amount of times that he went to Devontae, just because, I was in person watching the game, and I know this kind of goes away from your question just a little bit, Phil, but like Devontae was getting double, triple teamed, and he was still getting open. So it's just kind of like what can you do? Like, yeah, he's getting a high volume of targets, but A, he's getting open consistently, and B, if you're not going to throw it to him, then why'd you trade for him? You feel me? Like you paid him, and he's getting too many targets. That's baffling to me. I feel like he had a great game, and Mick just kind of defended that and saying that just Derek was just going with what the defense gave him, and that's what you have to do as an offensive player. And Devontae was getting open a lot, and I believe in the second half he did a lot better of kind of spreading the offense around, and that's the big focal point of what Mick really wants to do, is just continue to take what the defense gives them and just play smarter football. I believe that was kind of the sentiment of what he had to say today.
So you got anything for that, Jones?
No.
Okay. So, and now that was beautiful, and you did kind of skirt away from the question. So let me squeeze you a little tighter.
Okay.
What did Josh McDaniels say about the play of his offensive line after the game?
They played hard. That's what he said. He said they were hard and they played competitive. And another thing that he said that was very noteworthy is that blocking is a team effort. And he said that there's been times that, he's had, homeboy number 12, and, he'll get pressured all game by all these different blitz pickups and all this pressure. He won't get touched one time in the game. That's what he said. And that's not because of just what the offensive line does, but just how the team as a whole, tight ends, running backs, how they pick up blocks and how they fulfill their assignments the way they're supposed to be done. So with that being said, did the offensive line play the way the assessment of the offensive line and how they play against the Chargers is just very, I don't want to say the word difficult, but you have to throw into account that is Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on two sides of the ball, which is difficult for anyone, not just that offensive line to block. So you have to take that into account. They also had, when you look at the statistics, Derek Carr had the league average of amount of time in the pocket, as all the other 32 NFL teams did with their offensive lines. It was like right in that average range, that that 3 to 4 second range of time in the pocket before pressure hits. So there are some things that they definitely could have done better, but I think McDaniels is more focused on not just the offensive line being better, but just the entire team in general being better with their blocking assignments. And I honestly can't agree more.
I've never seen blocking better be a detriment to a team. That's for sure.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
Once. So just another guy to highlight. So the tackles have come under a lot of fire. I know you've seen some in the comment section about Colt Miller's play, but I think that we need to take a moment to give Jermaine Illuminor his flowers for the phenomenal job that he did do. Yeah, he gave up a sack early, but after that, he held it down against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa.
Yeah, I think he did do a really good job. When you look at the metrics and you watch it back, honestly, I wouldn't even say the sack was even the most horrendous thing that Illuminor did. It was really the false start. He had a really bad false start, kind of like his scoring position.
Yeah,
I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I remember him having a false start in a really mistimely situation. And I think that's probably was the biggest miscue that he had. When you're going up against Bosa and you're going up against Mac, I mean, sacks and pressure, that's going to happen. They're just, freaks, as we all seen. And as we all seen for years now. Like, that's not anything different. So I think Illuminor did really good. And I think he has a lot to prove this year. Just talking to him in press conferences or even just talking to him in the building, just kind of like, one-on-ones and stuff. He's a guy that has a lot to prove because he feels that since he's been in the NFL, he has not played up to his full potential. And he's done a lot with this opportunity that he now has to be like, look, it didn't work out for me in Baltimore. It didn't work out for me in New England. It didn't even work out for me in Miami when I was on the practice squad for it was about 2 days. So this is his opportunity to really show not just the league, but himself that what he can really truly be. And he's in a good situation because he looked into being on a team that brought in a coaching staff that he already played with for 2 years. So that only makes things that much better.
What was your overall opinion about Dylan Parham?
I've loved Dylan Parham, just the way that he's played and the intensity that he has throughout training camp. Shout out Raiders.com. There was a training camp, not training camp notebook, my apologies. There was a mailbag a while ago where someone asked me who was my most impressive rookie throughout training camp. And I went with Dylan Parham. Even, Zamir White, he did his thing. He played great. But Dylan Parham was the guy that I felt had the most effective training camp out of the rookies, just with the way he played. And of course, when you're looking at the play of people, of course, offensive line is going to be the first spot you look towards when you're, trying to write stories or you make headlines. But I thought he had a great training camp and he really competed hard. And I was really pleased with the way that he played. I looked up the stats. I believe he allowed 0 pressures in 33 snaps. And for a rookie against that defensive line, that's a pretty good debut to have in the regular season. So I really like what I saw from him, and he's a guy that I believe that this coaching staff can really develop into something great. And I liked him when he was coming out of Memphis. He's a really quick guy, really fast off the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's what you want out of your offensive lineman.
Absolutely, you do.
Yep.
What did you guys think?
The mix of where he moved around was interesting to me. Like I said, I'm trying to get you have the benefit of seeing it every day in practices. First time I've seen the ones because go and see him go up against the other team's ones. And so I felt that he was much better in pass protection than some of his run blocking. I thought that Josh Simpson was a little bit better in the run blocking aspect, just my personal opinion. But I've been pleased with what I've seen from him. He's definitely been solid. He's shown that he's got a future in here and he belongs. And they're trying to figure out where exactly they're going to get the most bang for their buck. And hopefully they can continue to play him at guard, because I would much prefer to see Andre James continue to be the center.
Honestly, I think that's the plan. I don't really foresee. Of course, the more you can do. I've said that several times now, but
Always.
I can honestly say I don't foresee them moving him away from a guard. I mean, I think they like to know that they have a center on their hands in case of an emergency, because like, why wouldn't you? But I do not foresee them switching him over, even if, God willing, Andre James can clear concussion protocol and play Sunday. But even if he can't play, I don't see them starting Dylan Parham at center. They might. That might be a bold-faced lie, and it happens on Sunday. We have no clue.
But then they bring in
Ronus
I think,
and
didn't we sign Billy Price, correct?
Not
officially.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it won. I don't know why. I didn't know.
No, he came in for a tryout, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's my fault. I've been ramping up at work all day.
According to multiple sources, Billy Price has been signed to the practice squad, but it is I have not seen a press release in my emails yet, so I can comment on the matter.
All right.
Thank you for the clarification.
Sorry for that. Yeah,
step on no toes.
But I will say, with the options that are on the team officially at this moment, if Andre James cannot play center, I believe that Alex Bars or Hronis.
That's right. Alex Bars is still there. Okay.
The next man up at center.
Okay. Definitely good to know.
Definitely.
And so with the last few moments of your precious time, Mr. Edwards, we get to the ugly. What happened? From no interceptions all training camp to God, and oh my God, what is he doing? Fumbles, ball is on the ground. You are the ultimate spin doctor, sir. It is time for you to earn your money. The 3 minutes, the floor is yours.
I'm not going to spin anything. I'm just going to take words that was said from Derek Carr himself and then use those words that he said to perfectly describe the situation. That's what I'm going to do right here. He said that he played too aggressive, and it was very obvious. He at times played too aggressive, where there was a couple of plays that he was trying to make, but he couldn't make them. And while there was times where he probably should have thrown the ball away, there were times where he probably should have got out of the pocket a little bit to extend it. He was trying so hard to make something work out of nothing. And I think that's a problem. You got to take what the defense gives you, and whether they give you something different than what you was expecting, you also got to go on the fly and make something happen yourself. And so all three of those interceptions were very aggressive interceptions. The throw to Renfro, he's trying to sneak it in there. He had enough trust in his arm to where he thought he could make that happen, but it was just obvious that that Callahan had a step on Renfro, and now it's just really bad placement. The other two interceptions, I can live with those just a little bit, because it was him trying to make a really good throw, and he had chose the right target. I will be honest with you. He just underthrew both of those passes, because if he would have just put a little bit more air on both of those passes, Darren would have had 40 yards. I don't think he would have got the touchdown, but he would have had about 30, 40 yards, because he had beat the three dudes in front of him, and then Derek underthrew him, and then, the linebacker came and got it. And then on the other one, Devontae had his three dudes beat for days, and then it was just a little underthrown, and then Devontae had to come back, but there was already three dudes on him. So what else is going to happen other than an interception? than 3 dudes come from behind and come get it after you've already beat them for about 5 seconds. So with that being said, Derek Carr just needs to be a little smarter with the football, as he already said. He's not gonna disagree with me on that. He threw 3 interceptions. He said he played a little too aggressive and needs to be better with the ball, and I believe that he will. On top of that, with Raider Nation, you got to choose which Derek Carr you want, because I remember before I got here to Las Vegas reporting on this team, I remember you boys used to call him check down Carr because he was too conservative with the ball and he didn't move it above or beyond the line of scrimmage for first downs like you guys, would have liked for your quarterback to play. And so since I've gotten to Vegas, especially last season with the way that he played, he showed me that check down Carr stuff, that's out the window. He's going to try to air it. He's going to try to find somebody deep. That's the way he wants to play now, is he wants to be a lot more aggressive on offense instead of just, doing these little, rinky-dink check down safe throws. He wants to get yards. He wants to make plays. So with that being said, I would still rather my quarterback be too aggressive than too conservative. Yes. So I want Derek Carr to continue to make the same throws. I want him to continue to make the same decisions, just be a little better about what he's doing. And that's all I ask. And that's all he asks as well. And this next game against the Cardinals, against a secondary that is a good secondary, but it's not what he saw, with the defense that the Chargers possess, which I would say is potential top 5 defense in the NFL, is what he just played. I believe that he will definitely be able to get it together, regroup, rethink things over. Home opener in front of a home crowd, even though, Los Angeles is kind of a home crowd too. But it's like an overwhelmingly home crowd. I'm excited to see what he can do to respond.
Fair enough. I can appreciate that. I didn't have a problem with the decisions at all. That was not the problem that I had. There's some mechanic issues there that I've been speaking on for years that I won't bother you with because of your position. But the decision making was fine. We just got to lead the wide receivers. That has to happen. I actually thought that both of those throws would have been scores if they were out in front of the receiver. I don't think anybody was going to catch Darren Waller from behind with a 5-yard head start and 40 to go.
Yeah. Just based off of kind of my vantage point, I think Darren would have, if it was a little bit in front of him. I mean, of course, Darren could have turned on the jets, but I think he probably would have got caught from behind. Devontae's was a definite touchdown.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that go up in the air, and I was like, touchdown. And I remember saying that in the press box, thinking it, and then, it just was like, it was in the air just too long. A little short. Let those two same plays happen again this Sunday. And I'd like to see if Derek Carr just gets a little bit more air on it. Those are big plays that would make big differences within the game. But I will also say, despite that positive note, before I go, shout out to the defense, because even with the turnovers that were created, they still were able to hold the Chargers offense after those turnovers.
Absolutely.
3 points or no points. So I'll take it.
Shout out. Can't ask for more. Yes, sir. Said and held that Chargers offense to 7 second half points, which is how they got to the playoffs last season, by nearly shutting teams out in the second half on defense.
Yes, exactly.
Right on. Jones, you got anything?
No, that's pretty much it. Me right now is on to the next game.
On to the next one. Got 16 more to go. So I'm not.
Yes, sir.
Not stressing.
Not at all. And got a nice, very winnable game right ahead of you. Want to see some good containment, stay disciplined in the rush lanes like they did this week, and they should have a better outcome.
Well, of course it was a completely different defense, but I will speak for Max Cross because he was on last year's defense, and for Denzel Perryman as well, but they have experience last year going up against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, while not the same quarterback, have a lot of very big similarities within their game.
Yeah.
So they know what's coming at them. And of course, Kyler Murray is a true dual threat quarterback. You know, he's a guy that you have to respect him on the run, and you have to respect his arm because he's got a hell of an arm. So he's definitely going to be a handful. While he may not have the playmakers Justin Herbert had last week, he is still a game wrecker, and he has a good running back with him in James Conner.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, brother, thank you for your time. As always, it was a blast.
Most definitely.
Jones, you got anything else?
No, man, nothing. Hey, me and him will talk once the show ends, because Thursday,
the taco spot.
Oh, you coming? You coming out this week?
Yeah, man. You know, I'm gonna do my Tony Stark thing. You know, I'm gonna just put on the suit and just kind of levitate down up in there.
Oh yeah, come find me.
Oh, that is hilarious. Yeah, he's good. I'm not gonna make it this time, but there'll be others. There'll be other weeks.
I would say it's a long season. Like literally,
yes,
just the roller coaster of Sunday. It just kind of is another crazy Raiders game. So it just kind of feels like your emotions get drained watching games like that. But then you have to realize like, oh wait, I gotta do this another 16 times. So
yeah.
Can't be too high, can't be too low.
Yeah.
For anybody.
No, you're right.
Absolutely right. Got to get a picture of you on here for the intro to go with the Wall of Fame over here. But real quick, let's wrap this up. Thank you everybody for joining us. This is the Unfiltered Truth presented by Sideline Sports Network. Go ahead, Joe.
Real quick, you guys can tune in with me tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. I have Dr. Shara Anchorman, where we'll talk Creative Young Minds, her new book. And you guys will also have the opportunity to win the opportunity of getting one of the best books I've read so far.
That's right. We enrich the mind, the spirit, and culture around here, not just sports. He's Jones. I'm Phil. Rob, that's right here, is Levi Edwards. The Unfiltered Truth. We are out.